Yeah. Hi, I'm Ashley Mitchell interviewing Miss A about eating disorders today.
Mrs. A.
Mrs. A? I'm going to have to redo it then.
Why? No, go.
Oh, okay. What are some effects from eating disorders?
Some of the physical effects from eating disorders. Obviously, weight loss. That's a big time. With eating disorders like anorexia nervosa, you have hair loss, menstrual cycle for females is disrupted. Literally your organs shut down because they're not getting any nutrients anymore. Eating disorder like the bulimia, you can go years really and be a bulimic without even being diagnosed, but usually it ends up with throat cancer, tooth decay from the vomiting after eating. Psychological, usually the low self-esteem, have to be perfect, and a lot of times eating disorders manifest themselves in a way that these people finally feel like they have control over their lives. They have something in their life that they can control.
What do eating disorders do to the inside of a person's body?
Okay, like I just referred to with the
Tooth decay?
well, tooth decay, but for sure, yes, tooth decay, and they, bad breath,
yeah,
from the vomiting and so forth. But a classic for the anorexia nervosa victim is a heart attack. And there was a singer, which you have no clue who she is. Her name's Karen Carpenter. But back in the 70s, she had a beautiful voice, and her brother had a group, and she got married in an abusive relationship. And she stopped eating, and her brother found her, she's 32 years old, dead in her bedroom. After an autopsy, she had a heart attack because her body's just shut down. They don't urinate, they don't have any type of body functions because your body needs nutrients. If you don't get the nutrients, it's going to shut down.
Right.
And that was what with the bulimia would be the
vomiting and stuff like that.
Right, cancer and then tongue cancer and from the acid in the stomach and the tooth decay.
Yeah. What are some ways that eating disorders happen?
How does what?
Eating disorders happen?
Primarily female, primarily 12 years old through the early 20s. Can be from media. For instance, they look in the media and they say, she's beautiful, she's thin. A lot of times they have teen idols. They look and she's beautiful and, sassy, and they get all their clothes like them. And so they see these thin people, not knowing that a lot of times models are airbrushed in magazines, so to look wonderful. Also, a lot of times it is, again, like I talked about, this is something in their lives they can control. Nobody can tell them. They can't do it. And so sometimes if it's a gal that's in 8th grade and everybody calls her Dumbo because she's a big or heavy, she'll stop eating because of the teasing and I'll show you kind of attitude. And then it gets to a point where then they look in the mirror and they still see fat even though they're thin. And that becomes a psychological thing as well. And if they're in an abusive situation where they have someone in their life, a boyfriend, a parent that says, you're not pretty enough, you're not smart enough, you're not this enough, they say, I got to do it to be perfect. I got to do this to look better, to be perfect. So it's a mental thing for sure. It is a mental disorder.
How can people prevent eating disorders?
Well, people that have someone that they love that they think has an eating disorder, obviously they can step in and do, some type of intervention, going to a therapist, a psychologist, somebody that's trained in the area to work with anorexics or bulimics. Internally, sometimes it just takes tough love, where someone says, your best friend at school or your mom or whatever, we've got to do something about this. There's a problem here and we have to try to fix it. A lot of times, especially anorexics, because when they look in the mirror, they still don't see skinny, they still see fat. It's a hard thing to get them to get into treatment. Get in school here, when we have a situation with students here that we are worried about, or their friends come and say, can you talk to her about it and everything? When we do, a lot of times it's, met with resistance. They'll say, I can't believe that they even think that, or, angry and aggressive. And then if it gets to a point where physically they can't make it through a day without, feeling so fatigued they can hardly, get through the day, get their tasks done or whatever. So usually it is the professional treatment that they need.
What would you say to someone thinking of to you for help for eating disorders?
If the person themselves thought they had an eating
Yes.
disorder, what I just mentioned, I would tell them that it's okay, and that they're one step ahead of the game by actually knowing that they do have a situation. And then I can give them agencies they can go to, or I can say, in a situation sometimes I say, can your mom come in or your parent come in? Let's sit down and talk together. I've done that before. But I say, we have to do the professional therapist way, as opposed to me just putting my arm around you saying, it'll be okay, because it's a mental disorder. And so it needs to be addressed by a professional for sure.
So thank you to Mrs. A for interviewing you.
You're welcome.